What's up, everybody? This is WFSO Reaction. I just saw this post on YouTube and it just says why the Milwaukee Bucks will make the NBA Finals. Um, and the playoffs was going to start next weekend. So this is an interesting take with of course, with the Bucks had beaten Philly twice and Brooklyn twice, but it would be interesting. It would be cool for like if they make it to the finals. That would be interesting. But I'm just gonna listen to what this guy says from Orly Sports. Mike says hi. Although the video was made a couple weeks ago, but let's just see what he's talking about and go from there.
So, with plenty of great stories in the NBA Eastern Conference, whether it be the Nets and their big three, the Sixers' reemergence under Doc Rivers, or the feel-good stories of the Knicks and Hawks and the play-in race, I feel one team, the Milwaukee Bucks, have been going a bit under the radar. They have a 38 and 23 record, are 3.5 games back of the Nets and 2 games back of the Sixers, currently in the 3 seed, and I think they have a real chance to make it out of the Eastern Conference and to have a deep playoff run. So today I'm going to talk about that. So as I mentioned, they're 38 and 23. They are currently fifth in offense and eighth in defense, and they're third in the entire NBA in net rating. So top 10 in both offense and defense, and third in the NBA in net rating. And their expected win loss is higher than their current record. So maybe they've been getting a bit unlucky, and they are a team that does blow teams out a lot just because of how high powered they are. They are third in pace, so they run a lot in transition, and they have Giannis, and they're a pretty dominant regular season team. But this season they haven't been as dominant as the past 2 years, and part of that is sacrificing depth. In the offseason, of course, they traded Eric Bledsoe, George Hill to get Drew Holiday, and they also had to give up some other role players. But I think that's paid off because Drew Holiday has been great this season for the Bucks. He's played 48 games, so he missed a couple games earlier in the season, but he's averaging 17 points, 5.7 assists, and 4.5 rebounds, along with almost 2 steals a game. And I think he's been better than they expected. Whether it be just having a ball handler who the defense is scared of, he's shooting almost 40% from three, a massive upgrade over Eric Bledsoe. And when he's running pick and roll with Giannis, it's really a scary sight because he can create for himself off the dribble and can score, but he's also a great passer and a great playmaker. And then defensively, he might be the best defensive guard in the league. Many NBA players, including I believe Kevin Durant, have said he's the hardest player they've had to go up against in terms of him guarding players, and he's just a great defender and someone who could guard, Kyrie Irving or James Harden or even Kevin Durant in a potential series against the Brooklyn Nets. So I think he's been really, really great this season and has added a new dimension to the Bucks with his ball handling and threat to both score and play make out of the pick and roll. And then, of course, Giannis is, his season is going a bit under the radar, 2 time MVP, and this season he's playing just as well. 28 and a half points to go along with that, 11 and a half rebounds, and 6 assists. His playmaking has improved this season noticeably. Like, he makes a pass a game that he wouldn't have made last year, whether it be driving kicks or just finding players out of the high post, all that sort of thing. They throw it to him on the elbow sometimes, and he can run handoff, or he can just post up or take his defender off the dribble, face up, get to the rim. Obviously, he's a dominant transition player and a dominant finisher around the rim. They've been using him as a screener more, and he's pretty scary as a screener in terms of his ability to roll and his athleticism. If he receives a pocket pass, he can just dunk it. He's so long and athletic. Or he can find a shooter in the corner. And he's been doing that really, really well this season. I really like when they use him as a screener. but he's also a great ball handler. It's less of him just pounding the rock out top and looking to go 1-on-1 in the half court, but more him being involved in sets, catching it in the post, being a screener, and then obviously in transition he can handle the ball and euro step and dunk and do all that. And then defensively, he's still great. 1.2 steals, 1.3 blocks. That's something that very few players are able to do. And he just dominates on that end, whether it be being able to guard uh, great wings and bigs 1-on-1 or being used as a help defender. His rotations, his athleticism, um, he's great on that end. Obviously, the reigning defensive player of the year. And then the third member of the big three is Chris Middleton, who I'm a big fan of. I uh, said he's one of the most underrated players in the NBA for many years now, and I still believe that. He's averaging 20 points a game, but also 5.5 assists and 6 rebounds. So all of their big three is averaging at least 5.5 assists, and it's good that they have multiple players who can play make in case one of them gets shut down in the playoffs. Still have two others. Middleton, he's also a great shot creator, creating his own mid range, getting to the rim, shooting threes. He
Mhm.
is an excellent 3-point shooter. This season, he is shooting 43% on 5 attempts a game, which is very, very impressive. He's a great shooter. I believe he's almost at 50-40-90. He just needs to get his overall field goal percentage up. But he's a great free throw shooter too. Doesn't get to the line as much as Giannis, but 3.5 attempts a game, that's not terrible. But just his creation abilities, his ability to create out of pick and rolls, it's all very impressive, and he's a very good player. And then apart from the big three, they still have some solid role players. One of my favorite guys in the league is Dante DiVincenzo, who is a great 3-and-D guy. He
Yeah, he
averages
spins corner lies alike.
side 3 assists and 1 steal, and he also helps out on the boards, 5.5 rebounds a game. And you know, I think he's just a really good high value role player. In terms of his ability to shoot threes, he shoots them at 38 three point shooter. But he's more than that because he can go off the dribble a little bit and he can get inside, hit a mid range, or just making the right passes, swinging the ball, that sort of thing. I think he's a great fit next to the big three and a very good role player. And then apart from that, I think those are our core four guys. They can rotate players, whether it be Brooke Lopez, who can provide paint protection and he can just protect the paint. And then on offense, he takes 3 pointers. His percentage is up and down this season, 35%. Not horrible. And then they have Pat Connaughton, who's a good hustle guy off the bench. Bobby Portis, who can space the floor a little bit. Uh, Brent Forbes, who's a 3-point shooter, and then who I think their wild card is PJ Tucker. He's obviously had the injury, um, so he hasn't been able to play too many games. He's only played 9 games, 17 minutes in those games, and it has not been great. But he is shooting 40% from three for the Bucks this season, and a lot of it is just standing in the corner and uh, just shooting open threes. He's a great corner 3-point shooter, and the Bucks have lots of playmakers to get them involved there. So I like their personnel. I like that they have multiple playmakers. I like that they have shooters to surround those playmakers. And then defensively, this team is great, I think. In terms of the big three all being very good defenders, Holiday and Giannis being two of the best defenders in the league, and then most of their role players are solid defenders between DiVincenzo and Tucker and Pat Connaughton. Defensively this year, they're switching more pick and rolls, especially when it's not Brooke Lopez's man. When it's Brooke Lopez, they still stick to the scheme where Brooke Lopez just drops in the paint, ball handler goes over, they try and lure the opponent into mid-range shots. But this season, they when Brooke Lopez isn't the defender, they do more things. They either switch it or they blitz or they hedge, that type of thing. And they're more willing to do that because if Giannis is at center, they get a lot more athletic, a lot more switchy, and they definitely have the personnel to do it. So we'll see in the playoffs. I think it's just going to depend on the matchup. Depends who's on the floor. Like if they're against the Sixers, Brook Lopez might have to be on the floor, and you don't really want to be switching DiVincenzo onto Embiid. But if it's against a team like the Nets, maybe they're more willing to switch a KD Kyrie pick and roll with Giannis and Holiday as the defenders, and they're able to stop that. So defensively, I'm still a bit fearful with Brook Lopez in there, his lack of versatility. But when it's Giannis at center, I really like it, and they're a really athletic team who understands how to rotate, and they're pretty good at switching. They've improved a lot throughout the season. They're using this season, to test out different defensive schemes. At least they've accepted that their scheme of protecting the paint and protecting the corner threes, while dominant in the regular season, can be taken apart in the playoffs by game planning and excellent shooters. So in terms of the playoffs, again, I really like this team. They're going to be a 3 seed, so the first round is going to be Hawks, Knicks, Celtics, Heat, one of those teams. I just think they're better than those teams. I think they should be able to win that series quite comfortably. But then they're going to have to go through Sixers, Nets in some order, I assume. And I think they can beat both those teams. With the Nets, they have the defensive personnel to stop them, and they have the ability to score offensively against them, I feel, especially with Giannis. So we'll see what happens. And also, the Nets have had some
Um, he should have mentioned that the the Nets has no defense. They're not defensive oriented. It's more like offense than anything. They're number two in offense, I believe, and the Bucks are number one in like scoring offense. I think it is. They're Bucks number one in scoring, and Nets are like number two.
concerns. Again, Nets are more talented. I understand they're the favorites, but I think I think the Bucks are going to come out of the East. That's my prediction. It could be proven wrong by the Nets. I think they have a good matchup against the Sixers. I think outside of Embiid, the Sixers are just a little too inconsistent to win 4 games in a series 4 times. So I think the Bucks can beat the Sixers. I think the Bucks can beat the Nets. I think they'll make the finals. Again, it's a bit unlikely just because the odds of winning 4 series straight, but I really like them. If I had to pick a team coming out of the East, I'd pick the Bucks. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to this channel for more NBA content. I'm gonna have tons of playoff previews, reacting to playoff games, that sort of thing. Leave a like on this video, and I'll see you guys next time.
Um, like I said, I see his points and stuff, and like I said, this video was made a couple of weeks ago, so there probably been like a little bit of an upgrade of the Bucks. Like just say like league wise, like where they at right now in the league and things like that. So so but anyways, just overall, if the Bucks do make it to the finals, that would be excellent. And the city of Milwaukee and the state will go nuts and loved it. But excuse me. But just overall, I think like the Bucks has a chance to make it to the finals. So I'm not gonna say if they, will make it as of yet. It all depends like who they facing, because no, they end up facing the Knicks in the first round, or they got to wait in the play in if they end up getting the 2 seed. Because once again, they're like a game behind. The, yeah, so like the game, they're like a game behind the Nets, and I think like 3 or 2 games behind the Sixers. And I think the Sixers play tonight, so I don't know who they playing against. And we'll just see. And they got Miami tomorrow, so this Miami game and also the Chicago game they got on Sunday night. They need to win these two games at least, and hopefully the Brooklyn Nets and lose just one game, and hopefully that Philly will lose their last two. But anything can happen. But we'll see. Check out all these sports. Get them to subscribe. They see they just talk about more than just like basketball. Talk about like other sports too. Like this video if you like it. Let people know about this channel and they'll spread the word and plus hopefully you guys can spread the word about this channel too. And don't forget about the giveaway. We get to 150 subscribers. When we get to that 150 subscribers, we are giving away a Iron Hammer Funko Pop. So all you got to do to enter in is subscribe and comment on this video and other future videos. The more you comment, the bigger, better chance you get to win the Iron Hammer Funko Pop. So we do stuff like this almost every day. Talk about the Bucks and also talk about wrestling. So appreciate y'all that watch the channel, watching it, and until the next video, everyone.